James Bond, Agent 007, had just returned from his latest mission, recovering a small computer microchip hidden on the body of Agent 003, who had been killed on an icy Siberian glacier. Now, back in London, Bond was seated in the office of Ed, the head of Her Majesty's Secret Service. Eager for some answers, Bond asked, "Now that the microchip is in our hands, could you explain why it was so urgent that we get it before the Russians did?"
Yes, James,
replied Ed, holding up the microchip.
This chip is so powerful that it cannot be damaged even by an atomic explosion.
Sounds rather useful, sir, said Bond.
It is to us, but the Russians managed to buy or steal the plans for it, and they were after the finished chip you recovered.
Bond took the chip and read the manufacturer's name on the bottom. The Zorin Company. Have you checked the Zorin plant to see if anyone there leaked the plans?
Yes, but we have no leads.
And what about Mr. Zorin himself?
Max Zorin? Impossible. He's a millionaire French industrialist with important friends in the government. Besides, he's more interested in raising and selling racehorses than in making friends with the Russians. However, if you have any suspicions, then go ahead and investigate him. But, for heaven's sake, do be discreet about it.
Bond smiled. Racehorses. That gives me an idea. Several days later, a shiny Rolls-Royce rolled to a stop outside Max Zorin's magnificent estate. James Bond, playing the role of a country sportsman, got out and introduced himself to one of Zorin's servants. "I am Mr. St. John Smythe," said Bond. "Mr. Zorin is expecting me. I'm interested in purchasing a horse for my stable."
Your guest room is ready.
Bond went up to his room, then strolled out to admire the estate from his balcony. Looking out across the elegant garden, he saw a Zorin Company helicopter land on the grass. Beautiful, well-dressed young woman stepped out and was greeted by a tall, thin man in his late 30s, Max Zorin. Zorin handed the woman a small piece of paper. She took it, looking cool and disinterested. Watching this scene through his binoculars, Bond chuckled. "Well, now, that's quite a welcoming gift. A check for $5 million. The following day, Bond, still disguised as Mr. St. John Smythe, was shown into Max Zorin's study. Zorin sat at his desk, punching the keys of what appeared to be a small computer. He looked up and said,
"Good morning, Mr. St. John Smythe. I am printing on my computer a list of all my thoroughbred bloodlines. It might be helpful to you in selecting the horse you want to purchase."
If Bond could have seen the screen of the computer, he might have been on his guard, for the screen was showing a picture of Bond taken by a hidden camera in the room. Across the screen flashed the printout, "Subject is James Bond, British Secret Service Agent 007. Zorin looked up, smiling as he switched off the computer.
"I think I have just the horse for you, Mr. St. John Smythe. Would you like to try him out?"
"I'd enjoy that," replied Bond. And what a ride it was. Zorin had injected drugs into the horse's body, causing it to leap wildly around the steeplechase course. A less skilled rider would have been thrown to his death, but Bond managed to hold on and finally bring the horse under control. As the two men dismounted, Zorin dropped his false smile and snarled,
"You're quite a rider, Mr. Bond. Now, let's see how well you swim unconscious."
As Zorin spoke, he signaled Mayday, his powerfully strong girlfriend who brought the butt of her gun down hard on Bond's head. When Bond regained consciousness, it was in the back seat of his Rolls-Royce, underwater, with the water rising fast.
"Got to get out,"
he moaned. Thinking quickly, Bond rolled down the window to let in more water. This permitted him him to swim out through the window. Looking up toward the surface, he saw the distorted faces of Zorin and Mayday gazing down.
Can't swim up now with them there. What to do?
Then it came to him, the air in the tires. Bond quickly uncapped the air valve and breathed in the oxygen until Zorin and Mayday were gone. Then he swam upwards toward the light, exhausted but safe. Days later, and thousands of miles away, in a Zorin airship floating off the coast of San Francisco, Max Zorin was addressing a group of wealthy businessmen.
Gentlemen, I have chosen this place for our meeting so that we will not be overheard. You have all been my partners for many years, and it has been a successful partnership for all of us. You have made money manufacturing products from the secret plant I have stolen and passed on to you. I am now prepared to do the same thing with computer microchips, only on a much larger scale.
The room buzzed with excitement, and then one man said,
But microchip production is controlled by manufacturers here in Silicon Valley, California. How do you plan to change that?
By destroying Silicon Valley, gentlemen. This is my project, Main Strike. To join in this project will cost each of you $100 million. Nothing can stop us now. Nothing.
Following Zorin's trail to San Francisco, James Bond continued his investigation. When he learned that Zorin had offshore oil rigs, he put on a wetsuit and secretly spied on them. Discovering that Zorin was pumping seawater into his underground lines instead of oil, Bond wondered, what on earth for? Perhaps I'd better see where those lines lead. Bond's next stop was San Francisco City Hall, where a careful check of maps showed that Zorin's oil lines ran under the city and out to Silicon Valley. But this was not Bond's only surprise, for he recognized the clerk who helped him as the young woman who had arrived at Zorin's estate by helicopter. With $5 million, why is she working in an office? He thought to himself. The woman recognized Bond as the country gentleman she had seen at Zorin's stables. She introduced herself as Stacy Sutton, then went on to explain her dealings with Zorin.
Max Zorin took over my father's company, Sutton Oil. That broke Dad's heart and led to his death. I inherited only a small interest in the company.
And Zorin offered you $5 million for your share.
Yes, but I never cashed the check. I'd sell everything I own and live in a tent before I'd give in to that evil man.
Then perhaps you'd be willing to help me.
I'd do anything. If you're out to get Max Zorin.